I've had a love-hate relationship with social media lately. Of course, social media has done so many wonderful things. I love how I get connected with friends from all over the world and make new friends. I love how I get updated with everything that's going on around me. I love memes and I love learning from it. I love knowing about what's trending in the world. There are just so many things I wouldn't know if it wasn't for social media. But then it started to become a time-sucking machine for me. Last year, I started to notice that I was spending too much time scrolling on social media. It would start out as a harmless notification, and the next thing you know, I've spent 3 hours aimlessly scrolling through my feed when I had tons of work to do. So I made a couple of changes here and there, and I was pretty happy about it until I watched The Social Dilemma, and it just opened up a whole lot of issues I didn't know I was facing. It was like opening a can of worms. So here are a few things I learned from that documentary film, plus a few tips, a few tips for a more intentional use of social media. One of the main things that I learned from that documentary film is that the algorithm was made for all of us to keep scrolling. If you're not paying for it, you are the product, the advertisers being the customers. And so the whole thing was really made for us to keep scrolling, to grab our attention, and to just maintain that attention. So here are some ways I deal with that. This is one of the first things I did, since I noticed that it would always start out with the notifications, and then I would get distracted and I would keep scrolling. So I customized it in a way that it would only notify me when it's something really important. Maybe you followed them back then, but you're not really into their stuff anymore. Maybe you just haven't talked to them in a while, and seeing their content just doesn't give you that much value anymore. If you don't want to unfollow them, you could mute them or restrict them. This applies to the YouTube recommended page, the For You page. I think also in the news feeds. If it's something you're really not into, you could click on that option to make the algorithm work for you. The Social Dilemma also opened up about how social media gives us the feeling of instant gratification. This is not new information, but I then realized that I was avoiding work because it meant negative emotions. And so I turned to social media because it gave me the instant gratification that I needed or wanted. We're always into something that makes us instantly happy, but reality can be boring and even hard sometimes, but it's reality. We just have to face it. You know, when there's a problem and you can't just ignore it, you have to face it. You have to go through it to solve it. What I do is I try to limit my use of social media apps. My phone has a built-in app limiter. I know iPhone has one too. If you don't have a built-in one, you can use the Stay Free app from the Play Store. Basically, what it does is that it limits your social media usage. Like, you give it a time for like 30 minutes maybe, for 15 minutes, for an hour every day, and then it resets back the next morning. There was a part of the film where they talked about manipulation, and that really hit me. It was about getting the false sense that everyone agrees with you because everyone in your news feed sounds just like you. And it turns out that this is just how the algorithm works, and you were just manipulated. And this caused people to be divided. By the end of the film, when they were giving out advices, some of them said to do the extra Google or be open to conversations. What do people you don't agree with say? Is it a credible source? Because fake news is very prominent now, and people actually start believing stuff. I think it's also important to stay out of social media when you see a content or a post that pushes your emotional buttons. This is to help you think clearly about your next action, whether it's online or offline, or if you don't have to do anything at all. Here's an honest opinion. Some of the things we see on social media are useful, and most of it are not. In my case, after scrolling for some time, I usually don't remember most of what I see. I don't really learn much unless I search it for myself sometimes. I guess what I'm trying to say is, even if I don't log on my socials for days, unless it's something important like school or work, it's not going to be the end of the world. If there's something really worth knowing, people will talk about it, and you'll be bound to know about it one way or the other. One way I deal with this is by using a newsfeed eradicator. I shared that I didn't really feel good about Facebook in one video, but since I use it for school, I need it. So I mostly use the newsfeed eradicator there. Basically, what it does is that it helps you use any social media platform as is, but they replace the newsfeed with inspirational quotes. I found it super helpful because it helps me get my tasks done without getting distracted. I think it's important to keep in mind that behind every screen there is a human being living a human life with flaws and mistakes and struggles. What you see on social media is just the surface of what is actually happening in reality. You may be able to read people from what they post, and some you just can't. Like, their whole personality in reality is different from what they are on social media. In relation to that, I think it's also important to keep in mind that we have a life beyond the internet, and how people treat you on the internet, how many likes, comments, shares you get on social media does not define your worth. Social media may be a big part of our lives, but it really is just a part and not our whole life. And although we have a life beyond the internet, our lives can still be affected by it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we should be posting stuff that we know our future us would be proud of. And if an app just no longer serves you well, delete it. Delete it from your phone, deactivate for a month, or delete it forever. There's so many people doing it. There are many books and articles about how to connect with people without social media, so you're going to be fine. Anyways, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share, and stay safe. Okay.